What is happening, and welcome to another four-wheel drive talk episode. And friends, I am not in California. I'm in Abilene, Texas with the folks with BTR Outfitters and actually with TAXA Outdoors as well. Kevin, it's good to meet you, brother.
Alex? Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now this is, you getting up here is how far of a drive for you?
It took me about 5.5 hours.
Holy smokes. You see, guys, I've been intrigued for some time with these TAXA trailers. They're quite very unique in design, which that's going to be one of the questions I'm going to be asking. I have a set of trusty questions here I'm going to be pegging your head here in a moment. But at any rate, flew all the way out here to Abilene, Texas because BTR Outfitters has some really cool gear for overlanders and off-roaders. And so before we go diving into this, Kevin drove all the way up here, as we mentioned a moment ago, from Houston, Texas. I don't know why I said Texas, because we're still in Texas. Well, that's the outsider.
Texas is big.
It is a huge state, huge. At any rate, he came up here to play show and tell. I have a list of questions because I cannot wait to dive into this thing. But look, we put these videos together here to help you make educated decisions. In this particular case, whether or not a TAXA, this is a TigerMoth, they have a handful of, how many models do you guys have?
We make 4 different kinds of trailers.
Holy smokes, wow. So anyways, we're going to be taking a look at this thing here momentarily, but where I'm leaning with this, look, we're putting these videos together to help you. Now, if you find some value with this video, sure would appreciate you crushing the hell out of that like button down below. That said, pull up a seat in, let's go. Okay, Kevin, so this is 1 out of 4 models that you guys have, correct? So in terms of size standpoint, this is the TigerMoth. Where does this fit in from a size? Is it the smallest or the biggest?
This is our second smallest one, if you want to look at it that way, and it's our typical, I'm sorry, not typical, it's our response to the typical teardrop trailer.
Wonderful. Can you talk to us a little bit from a high-level view what we're looking at here then?
Yeah, so a TigerMoth is designed to sleep 2 adults comfortably. Behind you, you can readjust the load bars on top to accommodate a rooftop tent if you want to bring some friends or neighbors with you, put the kids up there. But typically, like I said, this is our answer to the conventional teardrop trailer that's available in the market. There's a couple things that set it apart that we'll look at in a minute. But this is our 2-person. Typically the buyer for this is going to be a young couple or an older couple that are empty nesters. Yeah.
So if you watched enough of my interviews or these sort of videos, you know there's one question I always absolutely love to ask, and that is jumping in the Wayback Machine, because there's a history, there's a story behind everything. Mm-hmm. So let's jump in the Wayback Machine. For this particular trailer, would you happen to know what was the original inspiration for creating this?
Yeah, the TigerMoth was the second trailer that was introduced in the TAXA lineup. The first was the Cricket that the owner designed for himself back in 2010. We introduced the TigerMoth into the fold in 2016, and like I said, we had a lot of interest in something a little smaller, something a little more towable by some of the smaller vehicles that have a tow capacity with maybe like a 4-cylinder engine opposed to a 6 or a truck. And this was the answer to that. And also with the need for competing with the teardrops, which are very common in the overland off-road space, this was the next logical step. So TigerMoth was introduced.
Speaking of which, obviously, you know, there's a lot of noise out there. It's a very competitive market. How do you feel this trailer, we're going to focus on the TigerMoth right now, how do you feel this is different from some of the other noise that's out there?
Number one, we talked about it already, it's really light. It weighs less than 1,500 pounds dry.
Wow.
So you can tow it with even some 4-cylinder vehicles.
Subarus, 2-door Jeeps.
2-door Jeeps, those kind of things.
I actually think a Volkswagen Bug.
Toyota RAV4, I think, is another one that you can do with the TigerMoth.
You know, Bug has a 1,500 tow capacity?
Really?
Yeah, so you could probably get away with towing this thing with that.
Yeah, if you lighten the load a little bit, certainly. Yeah, but that's the main idea with the TigerMoth is, number one, let's get it behind more vehicles. And number two, you'll notice that compared to conventional curved teardrop, this one, the pitch on the back just keeps rising, and the whole reason is so that you can actually sit down inside of it. And most teardrops, all you can do is lay down. This one we'll look at in a second has a little dinette that converts from the bed to the dinette back and forth. You can sit down inside of it and use your laptop or just enjoy the view.
So that actually leads into one of the questions. One of the things that really, let's be real here, it's the elephant in the room, is the design of this thing. It really does, it separates itself really fast from a lot of the others out there. It's certainly from traditional style teardrops, or even the squarebacks for that matter. So talk to me a little bit about this. I know you hinted a moment ago about it allows you to sit in there, but talk to us a little bit more about this very unique footprint.
Well, if you've seen any of the other TAXA trailers, they're unique across the board. It's not just specific to the TigerMoth, but our founder, Garrett Finney, was an architect and designer first before he got into the world of campers. And so he puts his own little flair and his own little touch on the design and tries to get away from because if you look at a lot of the other products out there, even though they're different brands and different functions, they all kind of have the same look. And Garrett really wanted to separate his design and make it truly unique. So it's interesting because when you talk to people out in the field or at shows or wherever you are, they say that they've never seen anything like it, and that's exactly what we're going for. It stands out for sure.
It does. Everybody's zigging. You guys are certainly zagging with this one.
Yeah.
So is this something that is designed to go off-road?
Yes. So we do have off-road capability for every trailer we make. We have 2 different versions of each trailer we make. So even though we make 4 trailers, I guess technically we make 8 models, because within each design we have an Overland version of the trailer and we have a standard version of the trailer. And really the 3 things that are going to separate the Overland from the standard is, number 1, the suspension. So on the Overland model we have the timber and bump stop axle-less suspension, versus the standard model is just going to be a torsion axle that runs between both wheels. Up front we changed the 2-inch ball hitch, which is on the standard model, out for a lock and roll articulating hitch. And then on the Overlands, because of the extra capability you get with the Timberin, we changed the wheel out from a 15-inch wheel to a 16-inch wheel, so you get a little bit larger of a tire also.
So we'll start on this. We're standing right next to it. So can we start breaking down some of the key features of this trailer? Maybe what we could do is we could start here and then we'll kind of walk our way through the back, because you have a kitchen back there too, do you not?
We do.
Oh, heck yeah. So let's kick it off here.
Yeah, so on the camp side of the trailer here, there's not too much to talk about other than that we have this main door that lets you into the trailer. It's a gull wing door. So when you open this door, it starts to kind of transform the space of the trailer. It also gives you a significant amount of cover on this side. There are multiple holes, slots cut into the framework here, so that way you can hang things like maybe a lantern, flashlight, wherever you want. And then, yeah, like I said, it starts to change the dynamic of the trailer just by opening this one door. The TigerMoth's design concept is very open, so as you saw it before I opened the door, it's kind of compact and packed up. And as we continue to unfold it, you'll see how it opens up and transforms into a base camp. Now,
when I see this massive door opening up here, a couple things I'm noticing right off the get-go. You have these huge hinges here, which is great to see, because something like this is going to be a common wear area, and that hinge is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's made to be opened for many, many years to come, several times.
Now, is there a screen or anything? Because this is a big space, and one of the first things I'm thinking is wide open bugs.
Yeah. If you run your hand around the perimeter of the door opening here, you can feel some Velcro on the inside. And we have custom fit screen doors that cover this gull wing opening, and when we open the back door as well. So you'll be able to sit inside and have yourself completely screened, even if there may be bugs or something you don't want getting in here.
Well done. Let's go take a look at the kitchen then.
Yeah, awesome.
So this is pretty slick. I see a lot of stuff happening back here. I see one big door.
Yep.
I see another door. I see a water can, an awning. Walk us through what we have going on here.
Yeah, the back of the trailer is where the fun is on the TigerMoth. So before I open anything up, I wanted to highlight the awning that you just mentioned. The awning is going to pull out to 6.5 feet over the back of the trailer here, so you can cover yourself up, get some shade, keep yourself out of inclement weather, whatever it may be. So the back door opens up to kind of complete the open concept design of the trailer. Now you've got the gull wing door open, the back door, so the interior of the trailer is completely open for viewing from interior exterior. There's a jerry can on the back that holds 5 gallons of water with a little spout that's going to go down to your kitchen, which I'm about to pull out. So the kitchen's on a locking slide. It just pulls straight back.
Wow, that's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, it has a lot of room. There's 2 sections to it. So the kind of the back 2/3 of the drawer here has a lid on it that's also going to double as a shelf for your camp stove. There are a couple little brackets on it that keep it on the edge there. Yep. And then your camp stove pulls out. You can use that here. And then down here within the drawer, you have tons of organizational storage. You can keep your Quaker Oats and your your soap and your utensils, your dishes, your bowls, cooking spray, whatever else you need down here. And then on the forward part of the drawer, the surface is made out of a cutting board material. So if you don't bring your own cutting board, you already have one that you can cut on there. The next layer slides out towards the driver's side there. You can cover this back up. Oh, also the forward part of the drawer is deeper. It doesn't have the organizational aspect to it, so you can put your big things like your pots, your pans, tea kettle, whatever in there. The part that slides out is also a sink. So there's the cover for the sink. It slides in to a groove here just to give you another surface on the drawer, and then the sink pops out and sits in the slot.
You know what's funny is I see it come sliding out here, then you have the kitchen that's sliding out here. It's like one of the origami. That is absolutely amazing. Now, I see where the water's coming for the sink. So interesting. So I also see a 12 volt here as well.
Yes, we have a 12 volt plug on the back. Some people like to run an electric cooler while they're back here cooking, keep their meat, their vegetables at their feet underneath the drawer. So that's how you plug that in. And then we also have a light for the kitchen. There's this little switch panel right here in the rear, and one of the lights that you can turn on with the switch panel shines light down on your kitchen at nighttime.
So one of the things is there, when you're out here cooking and so forth, are you able to close this off from bugs?
Yes, one of the optional features with the TigerMoth is you can get a bug screen that's made by Thule to go with the Thule awning, and it just clips on to the aluminum poles around the awning and allows you to box yourself in.
Oh, that is so slick. This really, again, I'm amazed with how much just came out of this thing. But I do have a question though. Propane stove, I don't see a hose going in. Where is the propane for this?
We have a regulator hose, and it's going to snake around to the rear fender on the driver's side here where we have a 5-pound propane tank.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Oh, I see what you're talking about. So it's right in.
Yeah, there's a metal canister just bolted on to the fender here. You've got your 5-pound propane tank on the inside, and then the regulator hose I showed will plug in here and snake around to your camp stove.
That is slick. Now, can you step on these?
Yeah, you can climb up onto the fenders. You can step on the side steps of the fenders to work on your load bars. You can even walk around on the roof if you want to.
Wow. And I see, okay, so you have solar plug right here.
Yeah, this is your standard SAE solar plug. That's kind of like the universal plug in the solar world. So most major manufacturers use the same style plug. We have a Victron charge controller inside in the battery box. So when you plug your solar panel in, you're already plug and play, ready to go. And then there's a 30 amp connection here that goes down to 120, so you can charge up while you're in your garage, or if you're at a campsite that has a power post, you can plug in and run your trailer off of the electricity coming in from there instead of your batteries.
Now, one thing that I'm noticing up here, though, we're talking about solar, is that roof is absolutely huge. You know, it's funny, as you're talking there, I'm getting a little distracted because this trailer I find a little bit deceiving. You know, there's these angles, and the more you look at this thing, you start realizing there's just how much engineering that you guys must have put into this thing. And I'm staring up there as you were talking about the solar, like, man, you could easily probably fit 400 watts of solar up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of real estate up there. If you don't have the need to run any equipment on your load bars, you can definitely put a permanently mounted solar panel up there and use that instead of a suitcase or a portable one.
Very slick, very slick. Let's shift gears a little bit and close off the exterior with the front here.
Okay.
Okay, so I see a lot happening here. I see a fridge, I see a tongue box, and I see what I believe is a air conditioning unit.
Yeah, right by my head. This is 5,000 BTU window AC. Normally you would have a window in the front panel here, just like you have on the sides. But in hotter climates, especially down here in Texas, people like their air conditioning in the summertime. So this is what keeps you nice and cool on the inside of the TigerMoth. We have a special bracket, wooden bracket for the interior and sealant and whatnot that we use to mount the air conditioner, so that way everything stays nice and tight, and watertight for that matter. Also on the front deck here, this is just a use case with the refrigerator, but we have this little deck on the front that's got multiple holes and slots in it that you can tie things up, bungee things down to carry some extra cargo, extra gear. But there is a 12-volt plug on the front panel that allows you to run a cooler. What most people will do that have an electric cooler is they'll keep it in the TigerMoth while they're towing it, and then when they get to camp, they'll move it out, put it up here for the duration of their trip.
So that gives a lot of, so if they have this inside, then obviously with this plate, and I'm noticing a lot of tie down points, that gives a lot of real estate for bringing stuff out with you that, yeah, doesn't necessarily need to be inside the vehicle as you're traveling and so forth.
Yeah, like if you have some quarts of firewood or something like that,
yeah,
you can put them up here. That's something you probably want to keep on the inside of the trailer. Just, there's a lot of different uses for it.
And I see this tongue box here as well.
Yeah, there's a powder coated stainless steel toolbox up on the front tongue. It's really good for wheel chocks, extension cords. This is the hand crank for the stabilizers in the back. These are the screen doors for the openings. We've got your 30 amp connection that goes down to 120 that we talked about earlier. So really good application for whatever you want. Anything that might be a little dirty or wet or muddy that you don't want to mix in with the rest of your clean things.
I'm noticing, do I see a set of keys there?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so okay, so this is lockable too.
Yep, there's a set of keys that come with it, so you can lock this guy up. It's a separate set of keys that handle this instead of the ones that come with the doors.
So now the final thing I'm noticing up here is that is one hell of a receiver you guys got on here.
Yeah, so we mentioned it earlier when we were kind of going over the differences between the standard and the Overland, but the lock and roll hitch is a great addition whether you're going to be doing any kind of overlanding or off-roading, because it's a better tow altogether. One of the beauties of the lock and roll hitch is, unlike a 2-inch ball hitch, if you're familiar with towing, that kind of has that jiggle and play in it. When you hit a bump, you can kind of feel the trailer kind of drag and jerk behind you a little bit. The lock and roll hitch goes directly into the hitch receiver on your vehicle, so it basically marries the trailer with your car. And because it's fully articulating, instead of your typical lateral movement you get with a 2-inch ball, this lets you go up and down, all around. It rotates 360, so it gives you freedom to drive whatever terrain or trail you want to drive with the trailer behind your vehicle.
You know, that really does make a world of difference. Friends, as many of you know, back home, well, let me take a step back here. So getting out to location here, I actually drove this trailer out here, and the folks over with BTR Outfitters lent me a Jeep Gladiator, which of course that's what I drive at home. Now, I think the difference though, I have 488 gears and throttle body in mine, which I'm pretty sure this one doesn't. The reason why I bring that up is your trailer here. One of the things I noticed here, and as cliche as it sounds, I didn't really notice it. So getting to where we are right now, there was highway that we went on. We were out in an area where we had to take a dirt road. It was quite bumpy and so forth. And you really can appreciate, that's the difference between having a good hitch. And once you start using like a quality articulating hitch, it's tough to justify going back to a 2-inch receiver setup there. But going back to this here, that's the one thing that I will tell you this, and as cliche as it sounds, where, as I mentioned a moment ago, you really don't notice this thing behind. And the reason why I went with the 488s in my Gladiator and played around with the throttle body management is to help make it tow a little bit easier.
Yeah.
1,400 pounds, you guys are crushing it here. definitely was easy to tow.
Yeah, when we were following you in here and we went across that one section that looked like it used to have running water through it, I was kind of glad that we ran into that because I wanted you to see what the Overland's all about.
Yeah, that weight and how it tracks on the road was really fantastic. But what I am itching to do is diving into this thing. So let's jump inside this thing.
Let's do it.
So you know what's funny about this is this thing really presents itself quite big. Again, I'm 6 foot and I have plenty of headroom here.
Yeah, and I'm 5'9", so
but still, you're much further ahead with this whole side of this here. So you're saying this is designed for 2 people?
Yep. The TigerMoth's primary use is for 2 adults. So the little couch that we're sitting on right now can convert into a bed.
All right, so what is the approximate dimensions of inside of here?
When the bed is made, you have 80 by 54 inches of room.
Wow, it's a lot of space. It's a very comfortable space. And one thing I'm noticing here, I had to shed my coat here, is it's a little chilly outside, but boy, I'm realizing inside of here, it's actually retaining heat quite a bit, which is fantastic on a cool day like this. Talk to me a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the features in here, but one of the things that has been really itching, what are these walls made out of?
So these panels are closed cell foam backed by aluminum on either side. So the exterior is finished with this finish called Kynar. It's resistant to UV and dirt and scratches. It's made to last the life of the trailer. A lot of people ask us what kind of wax you put on your trailer after a couple of years, and the answer is you don't, because you have Kynar. You just wipe it off with soap and water. But yeah, the panels are pretty strong, given the fact that they're aluminum and foam core, especially after you bind them onto the stainless steel, powder-coated stainless steel skeleton. And yeah, they have an R value of 7. So to your point earlier, wow, that's why it feels a little warm in here, even though it's cold outside today.
Wow, that's really slick. So from the standpoint of warmer weather, when you're firing up that AC unit right there, or in the winter,
works both ways.
It's not going to take much to heat this thing. And
that's one of the funny things about the TigerMoth AC is it's a 5,000 BTU window unit that's probably meant to cool like a small living room in an apartment, and you're doing it inside of an 80 by 54 TigerMoth.
It's probably becoming like a fridge inside of here.
It gets really cold.
So I see a lot of things I find very interesting in here, and I'm really itching to, well, first I'd like to hear some of the key features from you, and then I'm going to point out little things that I'm noticing in here. So talk to me. I see, obviously we've discussed the AC unit up there already. What are those other, I see some...
Yeah. So starting up top on the left here, this is your battery cutoff switch. So that's for storage. If you're going to not camp for a long period of time in the winter time or whatever it may be, you don't want your batteries to be live. So that will kill them. This is called a WFCO box. We call it the WFCO box at work. It's kind of like the circuit breaker on the outside of your house. It's responsible for converting the power, especially if you're plugged into shore power, coming in from the outside of the trailer down to 12 volt for the lights and the fan on the inside of the trailer. It also is a smart charger for your battery, so it has an auto detect feature on it, and it will let you know it will detect after one charge whether you're running a lithium battery setup or a lead acid battery setup.
Okay, so now in terms of power, everybody's wired a little bit different. How much space do you actually have for batteries?
Yeah, our battery box is right under the head of the bed here, and it holds 2 Group 27 size, either lithium ion or lead acid batteries side by side. Nice.
Okay, cool. Yeah, 2 is pretty, I mean, for something like this, I mean, all reality, you probably just need 1, but 2 is if you have more hungry.
It gives you more staying power, and then the beauty of it is if you pair that with a solar panel, it's up to you how long you want to stay out. Your batteries aren't going to run out. And the primary electrical functions of the TigerMoth, like this little vent fan here, your LED lights, it all runs off a 12 volt. Really the only thing with the TigerMoth that you need to be plugged into, whether it's shore power or a generator source, is to run the air conditioner. Yeah. The trailer will sustain itself off the batteries for all the other electrical functions.
Well, all these, like these little strip lights in here, they don't take much of anything.
No, they don't draw a lot of amperage at all.
And so very slick. You know, it's actually, now that we're looking up here, I'm seeing the strip light, but also noticing, again, you have all these holes, you have all these anchor points all over this thing in here, which is really from I was going to say you can hang lights, but you guys already have the little strip light there.
Well, sometimes people like to add a little bit more.
Yeah.
Another thing that's popular is the little orange elastic cargo nets. People will run them through here and here and keep some pillows or blankets up on the roof instead of on the bed or up out of their way.
So, when this fan is on, is it safe to assume that you can crack these windows open, and if it's warmer out, you're going to have a steady flow of air coming through here? Correct?
That's the idea. This one's a little bit different than the one on the Cricket, because the Cricket can pull or push air. You have a switch on it where you can pick the direction, but this one's strictly out. So the idea, like you said, is that if you have the windows cracked with the doors closed, it gives you a little bit of circulation.
This is, again, I don't mean to be broken record with this here, but your trailer, I've said this, I went around the back here, this thing is so stinking deceiving from the outside. And when you first glance, you expect, your brain tells you, okay, this is only this small. You get inside here, again, we're 2 adult guys in here. There's a ton of room in here. When I was looking at the top of this roof here, and actually you get a sense of the size of it here a little bit, but again, it looks larger outside as well. This thing is really, it really surprises you when you get inside of here. So now, talk to me a little bit about, now this right here, now we have a table here right now, which makes a fantastic workspace if you need it. But this converts into the actual sleeping area too, correct?
Yeah, what we'll do in a second here is we'll pop this post out of the mount on the ground and just remove the top from the post, and then the seat that we're sitting on pull straight towards the wall, and that's what makes your bed.
All right, so to get the bed in there, you need to remove the table first, right?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. There's a little button here that just releases the top of the table that's snapped onto it. I'll just put it down here for demo purposes. And then your table post, there's a little button on the mount that you press to release it. This is where I'm going to struggle. It's out.
Boom.
And then there's a little Velcro strap here that holds the bed in place for towing, but it just allows the bed to pull right out. You flip the cushion, and now you have a bed.
That is slick. You know what? I know we're talking about the bed right now, but I just noticed to the right of the block, or the black box up there, there are 3 little...
I neglected to mention that earlier. So what I'm going to do is put the couch back in place so I can crawl around over here real quick. So we have a couple auxiliary plugs. This is a USB port, so you can charge your phone or a device while you're in here. We have another 12-volt plug, and this is your voltage meter to give you your health of your battery.
Interesting. Again, you guys are full of surprises on this.
Yeah.
Not only do you have a massive living space inside this thing, but there are just it's a lot of nooks and crannies. It's like looking at a
yeah, speaking of that, I can show you another nook and cranny. We have under the bed storage. So there's a bungee here that ties into this carabiner that will give you a way to keep this from falling back down on you. And then a small change that we made from the previous TigerMoth design is both of these portions of the bed for storage access used to fold forward. Now the one closest to me folds up against the wall, so that way you can store a larger item here, like maybe a cooler or a bicycle.
Wow.
And now, we were talking earlier, you can see the battery box too.
Interesting. Holy smoke. The mountain bike people have got to absolutely love this. Because I know myself, when I go out, you either lock the hell out of it. I mean, just rope the hell out of it. Well, you're not using rope, you're using chain.
Yeah.
But now you can actually have it safe tucked inside this thing, because again, when you think about it, if you're heading out, your tow hitch, which normally carries your bike, is towing this, so it's nice that you can actually put the bike inside here.
A lot of people that have a really nice, expensive bike just like the idea of being able to store it and tow it inside of something instead of on the outside of their vehicle too. So yeah, that's the TigerMoth storage and bed / table situation in a nutshell.
Wow, very slick. And so what are we looking at here? So
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight real quick. There's a little cutaway in the bed here. A lot of people ask why we didn't make it go all the way to the wall, and the reason is so if you have boots like I do today that are all dusty and dirty, when you enter the bed from the back, you have a little space to take your boots off and shove them under the bed before you ruin your sheets.
that is such a great idea. You know, it's funny. I noticed that and just thought it was designed because, again, you have all these, you know, ironic as it is, because all your designs that you guys have, there's a purpose behind it. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's just, you know, it's a design look for the look, but there's actually functionality in it.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I absolutely love that idea, especially having a kid. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah, out of all the times I've demoed making the bed, that is the first question that pops up is why doesn't the bed go all the way against the wall? And that's the reason why. So all of the windows on all of our models, depending on regardless of location or size, all function the same way. So number one, you can take the window and you can unlatch it and put it out into whatever position you want and lock it out with a knob there. And then you have a shade for if you want to take a nap or if you go to bed early. And then you also have a bug screen to keep the bugs out while that window's open.
All right, friends, and there you go. This was a terrific experience out there. And before I go closing up this video, I do want to thank Kevin with TAXA for driving, heck, nearly 5 hours to go up there and give me a first-hand view of these trailers. Well, not just the TigerMoth that you just saw here, but as you'll find in a number of other videos coming up here, I got a first-hand view of these TAXA trailers, and this was a lot of fun. And actually, while we're passing on a little gratitude, I do want to thank the folks who are at BTR Outfitters for allowing me to fly out to Texas and turn on my cameras. You see, how this started, over the course of the last few years, we've seen a lot more people, a lot more of you coming into the overlanding off-road space. As a result of it, we see more questions with regards to trailers, gear, and so forth. And before I get a lot of this stuff, I guess what I'm trying to say here, a lot of this stuff I've never even touched before. And so how this video series that you're going to be seeing here got started was, I feel more comfortable if I had a hands-on of a lot of this gear that you guys are asking about before I get in front of video and give you my 2 cents for these walk-around videos. Because after all, these videos are put together to help you make more informed, educated decision on a particular product. So, BTR Outfitters had a massive supply of a lot of really cool campers, trailers, and all sorts of stuff. I reached out to them to see if it was okay for me to fly out and play around with some of this stuff, and they were okay with that. And I had a great time out there. And actually, you'll see in some subsequent videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. I got to play for 3 days. I got to play around with some really fun stuff. I actually camped out in one of these crickets, which was absolutely pretty stinking cool. So thank you, BTR Outfitters. Thank you, Kevin with TAXA Outdoors. And for you watching this video, I hope you found some value with this video. And of course, it's that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff because, hey, why not? We really do appreciate it. So if you found some value with this video or simply want us to do us a solid, considering hitting, I was thinking about where I was going to go with this, but consider hitting that like button, the subscribe button while you're at it. So therefore, you don't miss a single video like the ones that are coming up. Make sure you hit all notifications so YouTube does its whole notification thing when we come out with a new video. But friends, that is it. So thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule watching this video. I'm going to turn off these cameras. You get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.